Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 52, 3 vs 3 Grand Arena Championship for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes Week 2. I'm here with my co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha. That's right, we were able to get Dagger in this time. You know, he's taken on a new job recently, and it's challenging our recording periods, but we made it work. How is everybody doing tonight?
I just want to call it. This is bullshit. That Dagger's got real life responsibilities.
That's right.
Really
I've long said.
Priorities in the door, sir.
I have long told you all my resentments towards those of you when you prioritize your work or family lives over this phone video game stuff.
That's right.
I have long maintained that position.
And congrats, but fuck you, Dagger. It's bullshit.
Also that. But yeah, how you guys doing? I went 2-1 on the week. What's good with you guys?
I am Dagger, and I'm an alcoholic. I think I did that right.
No, you're a quitter.
Wrong meeting. Wrong meeting. But I appreciate the enthusiasm.
My bad.
That one's down the hall. And by the way, you're late for that.
Yeah.
No, I went 2-1 as well.
Oh, so we're doing it this way, boys. Well, fuck you. I went 1 and 2, and both you guys can eat it.
The symmetry.
Well,
the symmetry.
Yeah.
And I went 2-1, but to be honest, I only had one real match. So, but technically 2-1.
I know the feeling. I do. All right, guys, let's get into it. Yes, I also had 2 Erodium account matches, and then Sasha Isha and I both had the honor of fighting Aesop Rock, who, you know, I just want to contextualize this again before we go into the details. As my only legitimate match of the week, I'm thinking, all right, this is about as prepared as I could be at this point, because, you know, your boy went hard on this new set, right? Got myself a mess of this new set 14, a ton of the level 9s, all the best ones. A few of the crowns I was able to re-roll and get great stats. I'm as good as I'm going to be. And I'm rolling in here with only 1 conquest in on this new set with something like 244 re-rolls. I'm beating the brakes off it for what I usually have at this point. And he's just casually like 830 re-rolls.
I just want to call out that I believe we're at the point now where his name is the Aesop or Mr. Aesop, and you can refer to him as such. And also, when you fight him, it's also being called you got Aesoped. So it also means where you get Aesoped in the game. I feel like this is where we're at, right? They literally need to change it. Oh, did you get Aesoped? Yeah.
Yes. You know, it's like you finally feel like you're getting somewhere and you feel that bright, glowing warmth, you know, just surround you. And what you don't realize is that is Aesop, the sun, literally setting on you. That's what that heat is. That you are feeling.
It's not his fault. He has to unleash holy hell, and you have to pay for it.
It's something like that. But anyway, it was a great match. We'll all take we'll all have our things to say about him, I'm sure. But anyway, let's go right into it. What worked? So, Dagger, kick us off.
I mean, Treya has worked versus a variety of what do you call those things? Beck teams. Whether it be with Cam, Gas, JKA. Haven't really found one that I haven't been able to beat. Bear in mind, I started this week relatively low due to last week, so
Did you see my fight? Did you see my fight last week where I used Treya versus Kel only once? And that's
that made me not want to do it.
Because I'm open to critique. I'm open to the possibility that I did something very wrong, but I don't think I did, and I would love to be wrong because then I would have the option. But let me tell you, the one time I did that last week, it was convincingly not close.
Hi, I'm the guy you did it against, and it was convincingly enough to convince me not to do it. So
it was decidedly not close.
Yeah. Like I was just gearing up to say, your results may vary based on me climbing back up. I think I'm currently like 170.
Oh, okay, fair.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. I was gearing up to finish up by saying, I'm climbing my way back up. So your results may vary. So I didn't fight a whole lot of like super interesting stuff. So I didn't really have a lot of other interesting things. I tried Afra again versus Leia and failed. Oh no, this is the wrong topic. No, nothing else worked that like was super interesting.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. TJ, how about you? What worked for you this week?
Everything did what it was supposed to do this week, right? I kind of took my lumps from around week one. Because I guess I'm one of the only guys getting all real matches while you guys are living up there
That's
in
right.
the Arodium land. The one I'll call out that Brock was talking about, right? So during our little soiree, right, on your stream on Friday, he kept talking about Beck and using the Maul Mando, and I had nothing to lose because we'll go to round 3 where I did get a loss. So I tried the Maul Mando, and man, on Beck, man, it felt good. I actually got to understand it playing it because like I had nothing to lose, so I figured I'd try it. It was awesome, and it dropped the Beck, and we're not talking like there's nothing there. So it was there was no AOE, but man, did it drop like a load of bricks. And this was again, this was Cam and Snips on the team, so the damage was there, but felt really good.
Do you think that would work against any, Cal comp, or does something impede this small count?
So Brock talked about the thought of if there's going to be a big hit. I think if that gas hits you with that blast, it might overpower the immunity, because that's what saved me. It was the immunity going on Gar from that hit from Cam. It didn't matter because everything was now flowing in where it needed to, right? And that gave me the time to just pummel the team. And then you just pick it apart. It was Cam was dead, then Sniffs, and then right onto Beck. And by the time I had my 5 stacks in, Beck was dead. And I came away with like a 56. So it felt good. And I know it's repeatable.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had to sit there and process that because I'm thinking so you think gas is about as hard as you could make it. So like JKA would not be more fun.
I think JKA would be the other. I think you need the big boom AOE to really be the powerhouse. That's what I think is the power factor, which is why I brought up gas, because I still feel like JKA, his home is with Qui-Gon. But if it's not, I think it's there. I think it could be there. It's just that overpowering hit because something may kill Maul or something else depending on what you take. But still felt good. I definitely think I'll try it again, and that's what I think is surprising me the most this week is watching everywhere Maul Mandos goes. It's cool. They are doing a lot of good this season. So it's the only one that really matters. A lot more on the other side. So when we get to the next one, I'll give them more of that because I got that written down. But yeah, the fact it was nice seeing it work and knowing it's repeatable. And it feels for you, Tess, what you've seen in any of the matches, your gas fight. They lead in, they do the stuff to you, and as long as you hit that immunity on like the Gar, you go and power them out, and they're done. And boop, there they go.
It's true. It's true. It's fun. All right, Sasha, how about you? What worked? What bailed you out?
Yeah, a few things that worked, and definitely some good learnings that we'll get to in the didn't work segment. But first, I'll just kind of keep pulling on that thread that TJ's been down there around Maul ISC Gar. One thing, it was interesting to hear TJ say that it worked and felt so smooth against a Keller and Beck, and you said it was gas and Snips. Is that right?
No, Cam and Snips, single fire. I don't know if I'm ballsy enough to do the AoE. The AoE kind of scares me, and I know Aesop even called it out against your fight. The one you kill is the gas, right? So if it's like gas and Cam, that feels scary. That maybe not so much, but when it's these high power single fire teams, they're gonna punch into Gar. Gar's gonna protect it just enough time to where your ISC gets to go, and there goes the team.
Yeah, it does. Like the only thing that I used it not this week, but the prior week on a Keller and Beck gas GK squad, and I did that because without Snips there, and the reason I bring it up is the Snips dispel on basic, and the fact that damage immunity that is triggered to save your Empire Mandos there is dispellable. That I was a little anxious. Maybe the fight lasts long enough. They get a special off. Ahsoka dispels the damage immunity, and I lose one of them. But it sounds like, you're able to just mow them down quickly enough. That's not an issue. And you're right. I am. It would probably be the one that would scare me most with Mandos, but still probably very doable, would be Gas and Snips along with Keller and Beck. Because Gas's AoE is brutal, and then every turn that Gas takes, because even his basic is followed by the use of the special. Even when he's not in the lead, Snips is always going to assist and be dispelling. Like that, I could see stuff potentially going wrong, but regardless. So Maul, I didn't use it against Keller and Beck. I did use it in my match against Aesop against Saw. And, I've certainly been over the last couple of 3 seasons, once that Sheriff Datacron's been out, and like those squads are really well relic and equipped at this point, for most of the folks that are playing Upper and Kyber 1, that it's pretty dangerous. And Maul ISC Gar felt really comfortable. I used a Doubt Season 13 cron on it because my guys did take some damage and it triggered some Doubt, and that was helpful. But it was nice there. Another one that I've used it previously, but it just felt good this week because I was stretched to find sufficient counters after a GL drop. But against Rex Crex 5s, which certainly has its solutions out there in the meta, but if you run shy of them, it can be pretty unforgiving. But I use Tuskens, and Tuskens just do a nice job of being like fairly abusive of the lack of like a high damage AoE from Rex Crex 5s. Crex can kind of spray around a bit, but not enough to take a Tusken squad out, to take it a warrior or the chieftain out, and they're able to just sort of work down a Rex Crex 5 squad. Takes a bit of time. It's a match you want to work quickly on, but that worked nicely. And then a couple of other things I'll say that worked are kind of a little more contextual here. Like one was against Keller and Beck, JKA Cam, which is a scary combo. Obviously, that means if your opponent's setting that, they're not setting a Qui-Gon squad, or at least any of the more dangerous variants.
Right.
But JKA Cam hit like incredibly hard under Keller and Beck, and Aesop had like a 110% protection data run, I believe, on that. So it was going to be brutal, and I looked at it, and I knew I had some banners to play with, and I wanted to try and get through it cheaply. And what ended up working for me there, a bit cheesy, but I went Troopers first, and Troopers fairly comfortably took out. It did require using one of the set 14 level 3 protection up for Dark Side, because I had to get sufficient turn meter to get ahead of the JKA Cam squad. But it was the typical Trooper squad of Veer's Dark Trooper and Piet, and took out JKA first, then take out Cam. Had zero chance at killing Keller and Beck. Like that was there was swift vengeance on the Jedi's part there, but it was an easy cleanup. Then Wampa to take out Keller and Beck. So it was really a testament to the quality of defense Aesop set, and where I was in terms of trying to navigate through it. That like I will definitely put that 2-shot in a hey, it worked, at least from my perspective side. Then the last thing that was interesting, and I'll get into some of that didn't work on it in a bit, but what ultimately worked for me against a really interesting comp that Aesop said. Like he did some really creative stuff, like fun stuff to face. That one of them was a JTR Ben and Holdo, and
Yes.
it's a fun comp. I did not have as much left to tackle it as I would have liked, but what ultimately got it, and this is after several things that didn't work, which I'll share in a bit, but what ultimately got it, and surprised me a little bit, was JKL, so Jedi Knight Luke, Hermit Yoda, and Mace. And the whole key was like Mace is able to eventually sort of both take down max health over time, but also be able to target off of a taunting tank, because Holdo in that comp targets a ton. Ben hits really, really hard. And so that ultimately worked for me. It was close. I didn't expect it to work, but it did. And I should say, like, kind of just user advisory there, I did have a decent amount of deflection in the Datacron that I brought, because I knew Ben, who's special damage, if he didn't miss at least occasionally, he would wipe a squad out. So that worked for me. That's the list.
What's a decent amount of deflection? What's a decent amount of deflection?
Good question.
I want to say had 46%, something, 45.
That's
Do you think that's what do you think If you were talking to somebody that you could, that's like around you in the same bracket or just above you or just below you, so somebody that's pretty close, what would you say is the minimum that you really would hazard running with to do what you're doing?
If you needed to one-shot it, I would have had more deflection than that. I mean, the reality is, like...
you mean you wouldn't have less deflection than that?
I would not. I wouldn't take less.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't describe my experience as being particularly comfortable. So, I think if it were higher, it'd be great. And I don't think it even matters of like I didn't have the right. I don't even think it was a Jedi Cron. So it was basically the stat that I was leaning on as a matter of survivability. And then knew I had to get a ton of turns in to be able to, like, it was the proper level 6 that he'd set on it. I had to get everybody below 100%. And the challenge there, particularly with an R9 JTR that Aesop had set, was it's hard to target JTR. When you get a chance to target JTR, she almost certainly has foresight, and she's also regenerating each time she dodges. So there's protection that's building back up. It is hard to be able to do that. You have to have high survivability and the opportunity to take quite a few turns. And Mace allows you to do that, to target effectively and get additional turns by granting, I guess he doesn't grant a bonus turn. There's not a Galactic Republic Jedi there, but it just helps move things along. That was worked, but like I said, use with caution.
Oh, that's good advice, though. I think that's an interesting way to go about it. All right, so I had my 2 buy rounds, and then I had my match with Aesop here. So as far as my answers to that Seer Malicos Star Killer that he set for me, I didn't mess around. That was just JMK. So that's not really an insight, but it's like I looked at it and I was like, you know what? No. Which meant that I did have to go for the optional 2-shot with Night Sisters on Jabba. Yeah, I just probably need to practice that fight more now that it's more on the table with the Bauschkron being gone. I just need to be practicing that one more, because I think I had it on lock at a point where it was just Marin alive. But then the other sisters came back because they were involved in the killing of side tunes. I could have attempted to spread the damage a little more, something like that. It might have ended similarly, but I know I could have made a couple choices differently, kind of thing. Cleaned it up with Wampa. No, sorry. Wrong one. That was a wrong cleanup. That was Mom Mothma, Kyle, Hoth Rebel Scout. As far as other ones, Kel, Cam, JK, Seer Malicos Crew 54. I think that you can possibly 57 it with Seer Malicos Cal. So I think that's probably worth checking out. EP Mara Jade Lord Vader, he said on me. How rare of me to have Lord Vader available for offense. That was 59 banners. That isn't particularly interesting. DRBSF Malik took out Saw, Chirrut, and Baze, so that was great. Malgus Sith Marauder.
DR lead, you said?
DRBSF Malik, my man. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Without though, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
I only asked because we do have Sith Crons.
I know, and I actually did sit and think about it a minute. And this was late in the stream, and Sasha was there for some of it at least. I mean, I was tying a few on, so I'm sitting there and I'm in the mud, and
the creative juices were flowing for Tass.
Oh man, I had to do what must be done.
Those weren't juices. That was feedback from the alcohol.
Whatever it was, man. I'll tell you what you can't say is wow, Tass didn't even clear him. You can't say that. That's what you can't say.
You can't, and you're welcome. You're welcome for that.
Oh yeah, I had good insights.
Now I'm going to ask you though, one thing that I think is a key point for this, because you're fighting the Aesop. Was there anything else about the Kron? I think the point that Sasha brought up, I think is a great one, but I think for this as well was like high crit avoidance. Was there another stat that was really key that you felt like?
Actually, here's the fun part about it. At the point in the fight, that was my third attempt, having had to back out twice on Saw, because
so it's still a fresh fight,
we'll
though.
cover that more in the what didn't work section. But take my word for it, I was just as surprised as anybody when it's like, look, I see the writing on the wall. I have this many potential viable teams to deal with whatever it is. If I don't split off DR from Malgus and try to do something separate with DR, it's battleship sunk. And so DR BSF Malik can potentially work against Saw Chirrut Bays, and we were willing to throw the pass. And it was a 23 because it was the third swing, but it would have been a 53 on the first go.
Mm-hmm.
So not
lower
squeaky
banners,
clean,
but it's repeatable.
not squeaky. Oh yeah, it seemed readily reproducible. Yeah, it seemed reproducible. I mean, that was my first swing, and that was by no means that I was long in the tooth looking for Doubtcrons to get that job done. But I felt like Doubt was still the way to go, considering what they all got going on. So it's like, yeah, no. You don't need turn meter or buffs or protection. You don't need any of it when I stop.
Oh, that's really good to know. That to me is a really big thing to take away.
There's a good one for you. Let's see. That one isn't interesting. Rex Crex 5s, to compliment what you were saying, Sasha. I had... Jedi Cal's been pretty underused for me so far. JKR Jedi Cal Grandmaster was just a very smooth 57. Against a very novel composition from Aesop. He set Reva lead with Rey, Galactic Legend Rey, and Grand Inquisitor, with the Rey level 9 Kron. Right? So you have Reva repeating and Leia repeating once. Interesting concept.
I saw that thing.
I saw it. I saw it in the fight versus Cyrus from week 1. Yeah. That was interesting.
That's how it was fascinating. It's the level 6. Describe that level 6 on the Datacron that makes it so impactful, Fast.
It's the 100% one, right? Because here's
no.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it, because let me say this and then talk about it, because the overwhelming solution to that was like Bane. Bane was 55. That's the answer that I took. Bane set 55. Maybe it didn't have to be set, but because of Rey and Whirlwind, it's like, you know what, that's fine. Let it be set. And now you can talk about how if I actually had to properly engage those mechanics with something as ridiculous as Bane, what would I have had to deal with?
Well, to that point, I wasn't even sure that the math was going to be favorable for Bane. Like when you went in there, I wasn't, I was just watching. I was at a point where I can interact or anything, but I'm like, I don't know that Bane's going to work. And I say that knowing full well that Bane is just insanely ripped. He's so buffed with the current Datacron and everything you brought him in, like with an R9 Sith who dies, and so you have a fully jacked Bane. Here's why I wasn't sure that would work. The Datacron that, first of all, the Rey that Aesop had set is absolutely modded for offense. So she's just under 17,000 physical offense before the battle starts. I think she's like 16.8 or something like that. I remember taking a look at his modding. And I'm like, well, that's really going to hurt. I'm like, that's an interesting Datacron. Why don't I look at the Datacron? And what an interesting comp, because you said it's Reva to start as the lead, and it has GI. So what does that mean? That means 6 stacks of Purge. That means all these debuffs flying. Rey, the level 3, or level 6 rather, on the Datacron, it's a Rey Datacron, and the level 6 is she gets stacking offense every time a debuff expires.
You can already see it.
It's gross.
Exactly, it's 2%. But if it's dispelled, it's doubled to 4%. And I remember thinking about it quickly because I encountered this on his back wall, and I'll mention in just a sec what I used, but like just back of the envelope really quickly was that if she got to ult, by the time she got to ult, and I had assumed I had passed through one entire wave of debuffs moving off, like say roughly 7 debuffs, times 3, because Bane's actually calling out a Sith trooper, as you recall. So there's actually 3 characters on the field that are losing debuffs because your Sith troopers out there, that his Rey in terms of effective offense by the time she hits alt, was going to be north of 25,000 in offense.
Oh,
Like,
man.
she was just going to be insane. And so I kept thinking, well, if I end up in a spot where, let's just say, it's only Bane standing, like this, you've lost your original Sith companion, and the summoned Sith has died by the time she clicks and hasn't resummoned because he hasn't started his turn. There's no way Bane handles that. Like, I at least I didn't think so. And so I went into it. I used Seer, Malicos, Starkiller, and just went all after Red. And of course, she doesn't have the lead. She doesn't have her damage immunity. She was able to drop pretty quickly. But I was convinced with my squad, and I figured it was going to be the case with Bane, that I wouldn't survive an ult. You survived an ult. Like, that was, I was shocked.
And could have survived more, I think.
Yeah.
It's just, every time you feel like, I got to show a little respect. Surely there have to be limitations. Bane's like, no, because you have a crown that's like an extra 40% health on a character that already has too much health and stacks health. So, no, I'm fine. Thank you for your concern, but no, I'm fine.
I underestimated Mr. Bane. You got it right.
See, all right, so here's my thing where I can see it, right?
Yeah.
If there was a point where it didn't do what it was, you took set, right? So you took care of that. But if somebody didn't respect the full team and took, say, like a lesser team, or something like, let's say it's a SAS, right? Or you're going to take something else that gives the ability to hit into Bane until you actually get that person dead. Bane is still vulnerable. So if there is potential where Ray could have hit the perfect thing and that may have killed Bane before he got to Super Bane. I just want to call. I don't want to underestimate it. Again, I never doubt the Bane, but I also can say that with certainty, that shit happens to me all the time, and I can see getting the perfect thing where it's just like boop, and it's like that's never happened before. Well, it's happened now.
Yeah, full respect to Aesop on the theory crafting behind it, because as CJ said, you can totally see how that would that could get really ugly.
Yeah, it was very dangerous, and I saw that in that one match he had versus Cyrus, and I was like, he's gonna do something like that, if not that, something like that, something that's perhaps so dangerous that I should save Bane for that. Because I was probably going to save Bane for dealing with Ray anyway. There's all these people with these smoke show Rays out here right now, with both the modding and the Kron in tune. And then, God forbid, whichever level 6 they have. There's no winners for fighting them, except if you're Bane. And then there's no way to lose. And you just, bring set just to make sure you don't have something crazy happen with whirlwinds. And profit, that's going to be the plan for. I think that's going to be like a strategic goal here for the foreseeable future. Try and keep Bane in the back pocket until we reveal the back wall, because that's got to be reserved for what I feel is the toughest thing. And that means that opponents might go back to front loading again, the toughest stuff. But I don't know. I mean, you can deal with whichever way that placement meta goes. As far as other successful attacks, just RJT Holdo Swolo, the one that you mentioned, I just looked it up and saw that among the things that did work against it, EP Marjane Starkiller, 57 is what was advertised. I got a 56, and I was okay with that. So that's it for good stuff for me. Let's
one clarification, Tess. Just as you were talking, I took a look back at your Twitch recording from that particular battle. Ray did not reach ult. So that I think that's it. She got a couple of whirlwinds off, and she killed your set your set with a basic, and your set was like R9 and I'm assuming R9, right?
Yeah.
So she kills set with a basic, but never reaches ult. So I still kind of stand by my unless I'm off on the map. If she hits ult, I think she wipes the hell out of everything.
Didn't I use Bane against your proper Ray team last week, TJ? And did she not get at least one ult off? I want to say she got more than one ult off.
Not that damage though, Tash. There's nothing comparable. If you're talking about 25,000, we're talking.
No, I'm not. But we're just talking because I'm not gonna argue with Sasha. Like he saw that she didn't get the ult off. I'll believe that. But like,
say I've taken the big bonk on a hit on a standard raid, but it doesn't feel like a standard raid. That pull to damage.
it's true.
It's
true.
I don't want to test it. If that helps.
Right.
But I don't think. Here's the other piece. I don't think you'll face that. I think any raid comp, minus this one. I don't know. We'll have to leave it to question, right? Until somebody decides that they want to get frisky, and let her get to one ult to see what it does. But any other raid comp, I think Bane trumps. It's just if you see a raid and you don't want to play with it, Bane's gonna drop it. But just respect it with the second character you take in.
Yes, very much. All right, guys. What didn't work? Down here in the trench. Dagger, let's hear about it.
Well, as I started to mention back during the other segment, tried Afra versus Leia, which worked more than I thought it would, but ended up being a back out just because there wasn't enough headway, and the turn meter was going to be untenable going in with Drogon, basically going to be able to lap me. Because Drogon was going to go, then Leia was going to pull logs, and then you guys know how that goes, right? Like the cleanup was going to be basically worse than like just going in again.
Yep.
Yeah, I think. I tried. What was it? I didn't take clear enough notes. Yeah, I had a Sidious. Sidious did not work versus DTMG, but again, I made the same dum-dum I made last week, which is where I didn't use basic, which deals more damage to heal you. I also didn't target the guy with 5 dots because I don't know, my brain didn't work.
What's your level 6 on that Kron?
Turn meter.
I feel like that
meter.
one's probably the most, like the best one, the most generally applicable one.
I think so too. I've had good success, and just like the problems I've had with Sidious are mostly user error. I will say to my because I've seen other people do the same fight, and I have an equivalent Kron, and I mean an equivalent to better Sidious. Outside of that, I had Seer Fail versus Ray versus the Holdocron.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just Ray got the whirlwind Seer 3 times, so she actually died. Well, it was like whirlwind. So the problem with that one is the timing ended up being whirlwind, and then she got another whirlwind off before ult, proccing the Malicos' savior, and then got to go ult whirlwind away. And it just kind of fell apart a little bit.
Grody.
I don't think that's going to be the norm. That one could have also been user error. I think that's the only fights I tried that like didn't work that I thought were going to work. I tried Rhea versus Saw, which didn't work. But I mean, like that was one of those where it's like maybe this works and it saves me this GL for the back. So hearing a DR BSF like Malik beats it, that's just fantastic because I found uses for the bad Malgus team.
Yes, now
so that split actually works.
Now bear in mind, I think it was probably pretty helpful that I have the fast Malik the way I do, because I dispelled Bay's taunt and then got to work with Insanity, right? And then
so you could target Saw.
I could go, I could approach the fight how I wanted. Yeah.
Well, even if you don't in 3v3, you get to fear Saw regardless by hitting Bays, and then Sheeran goes and does
then
his...
Deathmark, reveals, So to however much difference it makes, maybe, but I just wanted to point it out because, I'd be remiss.
Yeah, good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I got.
Sorry. What else let you down though?
No, that's pretty much it. I I'm climbing my way back up, so not seeing a whole lot. Yeah.
Hopefully not. Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, I'm gonna have a lot to
Yeah.
talk about, so don't worry. I'll
Well,
pick
you-
up
you
your
and
I'll pick
Sasha
up your
and-
weight on this conversation on this leg of the conversation. All right.
Yeah. I believe in you.
Let's pivot to TJ. How about you, man?
Yeah.
It's not going to be much, but it doesn't. All it takes is not much right now, right? So it's just enough. So round one, I actually wrote this out because I wanted to make sure because I knew we were going to be late. So I got the same thing as Dagger. I'm going to go 50-50 because my fight was going okay, but Sid on DTMG, everything was going fine, but I couldn't get where I wanted to get the kill on DTMG. He had the 4 stacks, so they all came back, and then there was just nowhere to recover after that. So. I'll take some of the error, but my fight was going, as far as people dying, people were dying. I just couldn't get the right person to die. And that was, timing was just happenstance that the time was perfect for him to get the heal.
Every time, I'm like 2 for 4 with it, with the 2 times I've lost just being user error, it feels like. Because the 2 times I didn't do dum-dums, it felt pretty simple.
This one,
as long as you use, yeah.
It even I can't call it necessarily user error. I'm sure I did it once or twice, but I know I was also doing basics. But it didn't matter. It was just the perfect storm of I was getting people to die.
How much health still on your crown?
50%. I got a really good roll. It's almost perfect on a level 6, I think. So it's like 49 point something.
Yeah, I'm around 100. I want to say around 40% health.
But I think with the TM that might have been better. I know Tass and I were talking about it, but to me this is so. I think the thing is, to me, we had a discussion about the other level 6, which would be marked, where I was talking about, and the one he's talking about, the bypass. It was still just a perfect storm because regardless of what I had, he was moving around to do the hits, but it was just that great timing of I couldn't get to the 5th stack to kill the DTMG like I got to do on Tass's. So that allowed him to revive everybody. Boop, there went Sid, and it was a bad load, so it took me to do JML to make sure I cleaned it up. Because that was rough. And I'll say DTMG was my bane, no pun intended, my bane for this week, or my crux. Because it beat my ass in the round 3, which I'll talk about. The second one, Beck. So I was looking at a way to take it, because I had to take JML, which was my plan for Beck. I needed an answer for Beck, and I saw something to try. Adrad. It was one of the single fires, so I'm like, this should be okay. It was not okay. It was nothing spectacular, but it was just enough that he got to take so many turns, my team just fell apart before it could actually do what it needed to do. Everybody still, they died in reverse order, so Beck was dead, but the other 2 lived, and that was still a team. So that was a big one for me. Other one that got me for round 1, Night Sisters failing on Maul, ISC, and Gar. I never faced it. I was just looking at GG, and of course, you know how that goes. And it went just like you would think. You look at it, it's like, oh, this is 100%. It'll be something fair enough. It was not. So that was a poopy. I'll take the hit on that. The one that got me, the last part, Afra fail on Zori. Even on a weaker one, if you can't get them down fast enough to do their blend, they just come right back up and your team just goes away.
So that means that stacking health on this Kron's a big advantage to seize on the product.
Yeah, it's just that bucked me the wrong way. Where I got it to work against the Holdocron and that setup, doing this, there was nothing crazy. It was just the standard Zori, but they got to come back fast enough. And because I couldn't get her just right to actually get her down below health, nobody died. And that you're on a ticking time bomb. So I didn't like that. So that was a bad fail.
I see it. Yep.
Yep. So it's like, nope, they're not doing that one again type of situation. Especially with where we're at. But it's like, I know it can work, but it's just not worth the risk where we're at. Like I said, I got to do it against your, last week, round 1, I think, I got Afra to work on the Holdo, which in my opinion is a much more considerable comp, because that Holdocron is amazing. But if you can play it right, it'll actually do you good. I had the second round, which was on your stream with Pimpo. That was an awesome one. Everything Dylan was supposed to do, minus ship's poopies, where both of us were kind of scratching our heads at trying to fight.
You had the forbidden outcome.
Yep.
The dodges, the elite dodge.
Oh, I had the TJ, man, or the dagger, all the key things of I forget your 15%. They doubled down because they were dodge. It was so many dodges, dude.
Surely the strategy wasn't so flimsy that it could not bear a single dodge, but two back to back. How about three?
I thought it was 3. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I thought no. I think I got 45. It was great, man. It felt amazing watching that play out that way.
It was shocking. It was offensive. I loved it.
It was normal. It was just another match for me.
Yes.
which I'll go into my round 3 bullshit because that was a fun one. So Visago, our guildmate, I faced him. He put Gungans down. So never having seen it, what I wanted to try, and just because again I saw against there was 2 and then some other shit. Wampa looked like it might be fun to try. I went back and watched the video. They got to continue on, but 2, I wasn't playing it like I should have been on the shield generator enough. But the return fires also weren't helping me any. Adrad cleaned it up. It was super easy, and I think Adrad will still just drop the Gungans. But user error, I'll take that. That was an interesting one. The one that really got me again, DTMG. But this man had an 88% or almost 89% resistance on his DTMG. Holy hell, was that damage intense. The dark, man, Jesus Christ. It was just, if dark went, they were dead. Whoever he touched faded away, just into dust.
Smite thee.
Right, it was a Thanos finger snap. He said, you want to play? And there
he looked upon my team and said, half. But there were 3, so he took 2.
Yeah, no, he took 4 out of 3 because it went into round 2. I had to take JML, thinking that was going to be enough to clean it up. Right, we're not talking like nothing. I took JML, Hoda, and JKR, which would usually be okay. Fuck no. And I have to say it that way because the way he treated my team, I felt sad. I was sad, and then I had to take Reva to clean that up because I needed it to go away. And Reva did it nicely for the cleanup, but man, was that not with that penalty. And actually what cost me the match, which was good on him. It was a great setup. I just, as I talked with Sasha and Bill, you don't want to learn these lessons, but I'm glad I'm learning it now, where their threshold is you just got to respect it. And you put some respect on that name. And yes, I did. So I had to learn that one the hard way. The last one that you want to talk about dodge? I should have recorded the amount of dodges. It felt like it was dodge was back. Treya fell on Tuskens. Oh my God. The amount of times that I missed hitting a Tusken during this fight.
Deflection.
But no. Savage. I'm talking just dodges. Just flat out, just miss. It continued the entire fight. And then I had the perfect storm of the deceit, or whatever you want to call it. I had the doubt pop off on Savage that opened up a Nihilist, or not a Nihilist to get just one shot. So It was just the perfect storm. But the amount of times that, not even deflection, just dodges, where they just wouldn't hit. And I couldn't believe what I was watching, man. It felt like my ship fight. That's how bad it was. So that was just like the way of the game saying, you get to go 1 and 2 this week. You should have already stopped, but you didn't, so you get this now. Like one of those phone throwing moments. And that was the end of my week of 1 and 2, and at least I had a great epic match with Pipo.
Very good. Very good. All right, Sasha, what let you down?
Yeah, I mean, there were, again, really just one match with Aesop who set a terrific D. It was a ton of fun. And to be honest, it's the kind of thing that just left me frustrated that I had otherwise 2 Erodium matches, because it reminded me why I really enjoy good GAC matches.
Yeah.
But in that one, exactly. And I felt like I was in a very good position in the match until I had a GL fail. So one of the key things, I think, a real big turning point was he set a JMK squad that had, and this is a theme of 2 of them, that had a level 6 Jedi 100% offense when they are at 100% health. And that's just no joke. I mean, they hit really hard. I took what I thought was relatively safe. It was Slacker, Daka, and Zombie. And I figured that's fine. I'm just going to hide behind Night Sisters, and SLK will just ramp. And SLK, just kept doing his thing. But there was just a brief period when Zombie wasn't taunting, and a combination of a solid like cat leap plus JMK targeting SLK, and he was down quickly, just completely after the count. I had one revive left. I tried it, and it didn't work. And so that loss, SLK Night Sisters versus JMK, big turning point in the match. I mean, it would have been, I mean, who knows? I had a decent shot otherwise, but that made the match really tough. But it's a good example of like you set that high offense Jedi level 6, and I think that they just punch higher than they would otherwise be hitting. And another example where I lost a match where it's not an easy or give me type of counter, but he set gas, arc, and echo, so like sort of the lesser 5-0 first. And I figured, what the heck, I'm going to try. I knew there was going to be a risk with it, but I figured I would try CLS, CHUPO, C3PO, and thought I'd have a decent shot at it, except he had a high offense stat and then also the level 6. And I was able to take out the two clone troopers. Gas, like just once he got back up after those two died, just I don't remember who we one shot first, but like then nobody was left standing. It was just really impressive. So like that level 6 on Jedi was a turning point in two key matchups. Other ones that like, and then the one sort of liberating aspect of those two drops was that it became science lab time pretty quickly, and I'm like, cool, this will be fun. I was actually just figuring out, all right, what else can I try? One that I tried that was good learning: Sid versus Finn, Resistance Hero Finn, and Zori. And I can understand the sort of mechanics and sort of the risk in kits there, where you have like Sid is just loaded with health, doesn't take reduced max health damage, and you're facing a squad that has a ton of exposed, right? So I knew that there was some risk, but .GG made it look like it was very good off of week one.
Mm-hmm.
It was not very good. It was like partly, I mean, again, a testament to the speed and the modding of Aesop Squad, but like,
and they're all Relic 9, by the way.
They are all Relic, exactly, dude. They're all Relic 9, and just really like very thoughtful, deliberate modding and datacron on it. And Sid, you know, he got to spin around and do his thing a couple of times, but boy, he melted fast. And so that was, I think, as TD put it, that was probably user error on my part, just to not appreciate the mechanics that were going to be taking me down there. And the last thing was a bunch of the learnings I had against the JTR Ben Holdo squad. Like you mentioned, EPSK and MJ worked nicely. As I referred to previously, I ended up taking SK along with Seer and Malikos to take on that Reva Ray squad. So I had EPMJ, and I can't remember what else I put in. It might have been Shore Trooper. I think it was Shore Trooper, just to see, hey, can I just burn these guys down?
Yeah.
The only interesting learning I had out of that, and by the way, I couldn't, you know, because they keep getting tenacity. It was hard to get them down. But you know how frustrating it is if you're facing that level 6 resistance cron that requires you to get everybody under 100% before you can kill anybody.
That's hard to do with that Star Killer.
But it's actually easy, but because the EP third, so the second special for EP, takes health. Mm-hmm. So I just did that, and I'm like, haha, I've got it, because like the little blue icon above all of them dropped off. Yeah. So that was great. Then the inability to land another debuff with my squad, less great. And so I melted, and Ben eventually blew him up. So that one was another learning. It didn't work, but if you bring EP, you can, with just the push of a button, take everybody below 100%. That's helpful.
Yeah, that is actually a really good insight. Because we'll see, you know, I'm sure there's a decent number of people running set 13, maybe, with Ray out there still. So once set 14 becomes the default, we'll be seeing a lot more of that resistance level 6 getting used. So, good insight there. That's a good one. Anything else you wanted to highlight? Or low light, as the case may be?
No. Those are probably good ones to cover. How about you, Tess?
All right. So I already told you guys about the 2-shot with Night Sisters and then Mon Mothma on Jabba, so that's whatever. Leia Drogan R2. I'm pretty sure this was just user error with Jabba, Chrysanthemum, Bausch. I'd have to look at it again about what I really screwed up. I think the issue is that I was more focused about having access to keeping Drogon locked down and or then killed than having my debuffs dispelled and keeping Bausch as robust as possible, because we were really in the shit as soon as she keeled over. We still managed to kill both the sides, but we timed out on her, on Leia. Cleaned her up with Wampa, though, so that was great. Very high banner. Saw Chirrut and Baze. Yeah, so Treya Nihilus Savage looked like a sure thing last week, according to the data. It was not a sure thing. I tried something else after it that I thought would work. I don't have it written down, but it doesn't bear mentioning because it also didn't work. Finn Zori, Resistance Hero Finn, the very same one that Sasha's mentioning here, belonging to Aesop, that I went in with Sidious, same as he did, with the same premise. And I also had the turn meter level 6, so it's like, okay, so I'm going to open up with my AoE. I'm going first in the battle. It makes sense for me to open up with the AoE, get as many debuffs out on the field as possible, and then I'll get to the next turn and see what the play looks like. And that was an incredibly arrogant, presumption on my part, because he did not see a second turn. He just got brapped into non-existence. So that's twice now Sidious put to a task that he should have, been okay on, DTMG, and now Finn Zori respectively, and he's let me down twice. So I'm not thoroughly impressed with that. JMK Cat GK, I went in with Leia, Drogon, R2, and let me think about this. I don't think I mismanaged something there. I was really careful about how I approached that fight. There still might have been a better way to play it. That I could take that, but I think I was too careful to call it like I really just screwed it up. That said, JMK, he's ramping the damage done by his first special every time he does it. And it's child's play for JMK to stabilize and get back up to 100% health to take advantage of that added 100% damage. So maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes into the fight, he is capable of one-shotting your squishies with that first special. I want to say it was something like that. Like he eventually got a turn to get at Drogon, and that's all it took. It was just one kiss of that special. He just went bye-bye. Now, I didn't mention this, and I should have in the what worked, but it works here just as well because we were stuck on JMK forever, and I was pretty confident I wasn't going to be able to clear the board. And then in desperation, I turned. Somebody in the chat recommended it, so I don't want to say it was my idea, but it was RJT and Resistance Bros with the stacking offense resistance level 6, and it was sufficient. It was sufficient to burn through him. Like that was like the 8th attempt at like burning him down. I can't tell you how many other things that I tried that sounded better than that.
Yeah, that was the three of us. That was me, Canada. That was me, Canada, and Mary J. Who were
exactly. I know that wasn't that was not my own invention. I really did try everything else I thought was feasible before I was going to entertain something like that. But I'm glad it worked. So credit given where credit's due, for sure. Thank you. But other than that, yeah, it was a pretty clean week. All right, guys. Next segment, standout defenses. So, what really held the line? Who stood out? Dagger. Dagger. Got that mic muted, Dagger? Getting chased by an axe murderer?
Yeah, I did have that mic muted.
Ah, see? There it is. I was going to start making increasingly outlandish guesses as to where you were and what you were doing.
Yeah, I was chewing it. I didn't think you guys needed to hear that.
No, I appreciate that. That's
you know what? That's rude. I want to hear it. No, you let me get that chewing. Nim 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 nim.
So not a whole lot of standout defenses. Let's see. Jabba got. This was clear the sides, take 4 teams to actually kill the lone Jabba. Yeah, it doesn't look like I got a ton of holds. I had a twice this last week. I basically had a opponent got to a point where they didn't think they could clear and just stopped.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure what stopped them or what they had left. Off to wait till history. Maybe they overcommitted to the front, but I had 2 different opponents basically clear the bottom front wall, and then stop or do minimal attacks. Looks like Qui-Gon got the obligatory kill Qui-Gon, then kill the rest. Yeah, not a lot of not a lot of fun this segment either. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. That's okay. All right, TJ, how about you? Your standouts.
I was actually smart. I took notes this time on this one too.
See this
key defense. Key defense. Taz had me do it, and we were talking about it. Round 1, trench. Took a 3-shot. Nothing crazy with the trench cron. That combination, and we talked about it before, but trench, Dooku, and Watt. Yeah, I'm interested to see what he tried to use, but that was a 3-shot. Zori was a key defense this week for me. I think 2 out of the 3 rounds, Zori was did something for me, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for Visago, his only drop was on my Zori, and that was the Zori with the holdo. So Zori,
Nice.
that was not with the holdo. That was with the Rose. I want to say he probably tried an AF or something, or maybe a Sid, but just with that Rose and that TM game, you're just not going to get in front of it. And tenacity up is just going to kill you. So Zori did it, and then what Taz did to me, I talked about it. I properly built my Snapcron, and GG Snap got a hold. So that one held, and I think it was a full hold. Like, they had to back out, and they had to try something else because that one did really well. Against Peepo, 2 things, and he told me he underestimated. I did the Raycron, so I did the Ray with the Cal, and it was with the Raycron because I just wanted to try. I was moving Holdo over. I was seeing that was doing really well, and fighting it, I knew it was a tough fight. So taking the Raycron and had good stats on it. Taking that with Cal, he underestimated it, and he had to 2-shot my Ray, and then in the back he had Seer. And it was just the idea of it was with ATF, just in case he's going to try to sit that. And the only person left standing was Seer on that one. So those are the key. And then, as we already said, Zori, the resistance are just monsters right now at this level 6. It's just the stuff of nightmares. So it's great for stealing banners and making you have to adjust how you're going to play the game. And that one was, again, another great hold. And actually, Visago told me what he used, and he told me what happened. He tried BKM on my Finn Zori with Holdo. And what ended up happening was Zori stayed stealth the entire time, so he could never get to the point to drop her down to kill her. And so they would pop right back up, and then so BKM was a hold on my Zori.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It was good. It was good feedback for notes.
Incredible. That is incredible. I'm just
It's
delighted.
just a
Now,
single
where did
fire,
you have
but
that team positioned on your
top
board?
front. There was nowhere to hide. I put it top
Okay.
front to deal with. But
Okay.
as and I think here's the key thing. We've said this a number of times. It's not necessarily the bottom that really sticks you. I know Daggers talked about it. We talked about extending the front wall. The top. These top teams, it's like, all right, I know I got to get through the back. We know we got to do it because this is the game right now. And then it's the top where it's like, did you drain you? But not respecting that level 6 on this team, and you take these impactful single fire teams, you're just gonna get screwed if you don't figure out a way to drop the health. Like look at what Sasha said, right? All he says, like, I just hit 3rd, boop, there goes under health, you're good to go. I mean, it's not like it's something that simple, but you get BKM, and BKM gets held up because I can't hit your Zori, and your Zori keeps locking up, and then I couldn't get her out of stealth. There you go.
Yep. All right, how about you, Sasha? Your top defenders.
I had 3 that got holds in that ASOP match. So one was a Finn Zori squad. That was on the back wall, and it got, I think, 5 holds. So there was a shot that it was going to prevent a full clear, but he got it on the sixth try.
Finzori, what?
Rose.
Rose.
Finzori Rose. So that was Finzori Rose. It was, I think the tenacity up and potency up level 3. Everybody's got to go under 100% health level 6, and it's a Fin level 9, but I don't know that necessarily matters.
Yeah.
And I have an R8 Fin, so he hits decently hard, but it's not like I don't think it's a huge difference maker. I had a GG Stap squad that got a hold. It apparently stopped his Gunkins. That was GG Stap and B1. I like B1 in that comp. I just find I've always liked B1 as a character. I just with a lot of offense on it because he assists all the time. Does a nice job of just sort of bleeding down an opposing squad, and he said that was basically what happened there. It sounds like is they took out enough to eventually get the generator down. Then the other squad that got a hold. Got a couple of holds was Kellerbeck, Cam, and Gas, and that was bottom front. And he was doing the smart thing, and he didn't want to, I think, overspend on it. But he lost to the first battle. Cam he took out, but Gas stayed up. And then it took a couple battles to still get it down. I mean, I have a nice Datacron. I get an 100%. Obviously, it's the Keller and Beck level 9, but then the 100% offense on level 6 with like a decent amount of protection and offense on it. And it hits. Gas hits really hard, like we've talked about. So that one held a bit. So that was.
Did see it.
Yeah, those were my standouts.
All right. Well, it's real short for me on this one. Just with this match with Aesop here. DTMG Gideon Scout, he just preloaded outright. Got unexpectedly blown out. That smells like a Sidious gone wrong to me. Rex Crex in 5s. He killed 5s and then had to, clean up the other 2. My guess, possibly a Star Killer gone bad. I've seen that happen before. But that's it for holds. I guess honorable mentions in terms of banner strippers. There's times where I miss her on offense because she could make things easy. But Riva took what? He got a 52, so dropped 5 banners there. And BKM Paz Grogu was 50 banners. Honorable mention. I have been disappointed here in what I've been able to do with my Afra, and I put Afra on defense, and she pulled a 53. So not bad. It was a surprise sitting in the back. You wouldn't have expected seeing it, so what are you going to do? All right, you got it, but there was a little tax on the table. But that's all. All right, guys, lessons learned. This is it. Going into week 3, I know TJ hit on it before, but as far as like some of our considerations for 3s and 6s on these set 14 crons, like it has matured. It has come to pass that the turn meter level 6 looks like it's the safest way to run your city. As we've already talked about the taunt one and about the marked, your other options, but what are you guys making any big changes here going into week 3? You tuning any crons aside for optimizing stats? Are you re-rolling any 3s and 6s? Like, for example, Sasha, you just talking about that there reminded me to re-roll my damage and speed stacking level 3 on my Fincron to a potency and tenacity. So what else you guys doing here as you're pivoting into week 3? I guess we start with Dagger as always. Yeah, that's fine.
Literally nothing until Conquest starts.
All right, well, thank you. All right, that's
Fair.
a big wet fart on the conversation. I appreciate you.
Look, man, I need to stay.
You know what? You're honest
and
you're honest and brief, and I would have it no other way.
It's a resource management game in part. He's managing his resources.
That's fair. There you go.
Digging a little deeper to that, Short-term currency, I have a fair amount still banked, but I need that to build crons at the beginning of the next set. So I need to have around 20K, and I'm only like 14K, so I can't really spend anything right now.
Yeah.
I need to get back up to that number I want to be at for when the next set comes out, and I can buy the reroll materials there to have my stuff ready for week 1.
That makes sense. All right, fair enough. All right, TJ, how about you? Your lessons learned and preparation, stuff like that. I mean, I didn't mean to commandeer the sense of the question fully there, but yeah.
No, I know what you were saying, man. And I did. So, like I said, I learned some pretty solid lessons for what I'm going to try for week 3. Also, some team comps I want to play with. The one thing, okay, so the one thing that you can always come with, and like both of you said, both of you are victims of it. It's these crazy shenanigan teams that ASOP comes up with. They just give you a world to like, we could do that. Maybe if we change a thing or two. I love watching those fights because you just don't know how to respond. Besides, I just got to overkill it. I don't have a choice. I saw some other things from other streamers. So again, as we've always talked about, make sure you're taking care of your local streamer. There's a good reason for it. I saw some pretty awesome comps that I think I might want to plot and scheme on that might make some pretty good changes. Yeah, I'll leave it there. But as far as changes I'm making, I'm gonna try. I got to try this level 6 on the turn meter. I want to give it a shot. So I actually just rolled it right now, just to get it over. I think the numbers are okay for where I'm at. I think Dagger's right. We can probably tweak it some more, but that I'm gonna wait for. But to me, the immediate, let's try with the level 6. I think the Chrono's got the tenacity up on it, so the level 3 is fine. But it's like I want to get these places right because Sid makes me sad, but he also makes me really happy. So
I want to believe. I want to worship at the Church of Sidious. I want it.
When it works, man, it's amazing. Am I going to try a D Team G? I don't know. We'll see where I'm at because as going 1 and 2 would come with that, I'll be pushed back a little bit, which is fine. It was earned for this one. Other ones, it's just like I've got some good ideas, and I'm also tweaking some more modding. The one thing that I saw this week also that's maturing as well that Sasha's talked about, the play on tenacity. So I'm not going to call it the teams, but I saw some teams. Tass saw it on one of my fights where I got uncomfortably close on something that should have been good, and it was the tenacity, in my opinion, that really just pushed it home. Mm-hmm. That's another thing I'm playing with. And also, we're all talking about doubt, and I think doubt is a great one. I don't think you should underestimate for the dark side, and I'm not going to name out the teams, but don't underestimate the level 3 potency into tenacity up. Tenacity up is a very big tool that can do a lot of good if you put it on the right team. Those are my thoughts. Like I said, this was a really good learning.
No, that's a good one. That's good stuff. All right, well, Sasha, how about you? What are you taking away from week 2? What are you applying? What are you applying? What are you changing? All of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not making a ton of changes really to my roster, datacrons or mods, to be honest. But I think the one big kind of actionable learning here is that when I look at comps and like I'm a big fan of .gg, just take a look and see what's worked, what hasn't, learn from the experience of others. But the level 6s and to some degree level 3s, like as we've touched on, are such difference makers in set 14 that like you've got to get down into the nitty gritty. It's not about these 3 characters beat those 3 characters. It is like, what is the level 6 on those 3 characters? Like that is determinative, like in some cases. And it's like just making sure I'm looking at it at that level. And like to that point, I don't think I've re-rolled since it started. Maybe I'll do something, but like the ones that I really like, I mentioned the difference makers of 100% damage for Jedi. Like that's an awesome level. There's so many different Jedi comps, and as you start digging deeper into your rosters in 3v3, it's not uncommon to say, well, I'd love to clean this up, and it's like I have this Jedi option, and if you can get something that hits twice as hard as it was otherwise going to hit, at least until the character is under 100% health, it's a difference maker. So that's the stuff that I pay more attention to.
Very fair. For my part, my lessons learned, I mean, I made that re-roll I just mentioned. I think that I've been pretty disappointed on the whole with Traya on offense. So I think that Traya on defense has been good at least stripping banners, if not holding. So that's something I'm really thinking about. Also, to your point about Jedi, you can ask TJ. I was mulling over here for week 2 whether or not I wanted to bother with any Jedi splits on defense. But JKR lead as one team, and then JKL lead as a separate team, side by side somewhere, is not entirely out of the question. And it may not even be bad if you've got the, you've got the at least the level 6, the damage level 6. And hopefully some good stats to go with it, ideally offense. That could be extremely threatening. Even more so if you're going to do something like, okay, it's not that you have to do it this way, but I wonder what I would do if it was like, I saw these up front. It's like, now decide what you're doing with this here. You have no idea what I've got, how many different draws I have for whatever in the back. But you've got like that split, JKR. Oh my God, think about it. You could have like a JKR team, a Kel team, a JKL team, Qui-Gon, and a Gas. Something like that. Just a full wall of Jedi, all rocking the same level 6, and none of them are a GL, and what are you going to do about it? Something like that. So in terms of pivoting the level to week 3, we're always about this. I think all of us here in week 3. But this is your peak creativity. Apply all your lessons that you've learned, and hopefully when you're scouting your opponents, you see their a preference that you can exploit. This is all the marbles, here for week 3. I'd say that's about it for my lessons learned. At last, guys, we turn to the final thought. Your last word for the people. Time to close up shop here. Dagger, first up.
Have you looked into that new hat yet?
No, I have not looked into the new hat. Would you believe it? I have been so preoccupied with other things, mostly Helldivers.
Man, could you imagine, having other things to do besides a mobile game? And things that have to do with that mobile game?
Yeah, well, I mean, and that just sounds like somebody who doesn't spend enough time spreading freedom and democracy to all corners of the known galaxy. That's, it just sounds almost downright unpatriotic. But yeah, no, I haven't. I really haven't, because we've talked about that. Like, as far as any public option that you can readily find to remake that hat, you're basically looking at the same wool thing or fleece thing, and it's like, man, I don't really want that. So now we're talking about, I don't know, finding some actual haberdasher. I don't know. And then other things we were talking about sounded too close to a beer helmet, and it's like, I mean, I could just get a beer helmet then. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, you would just put the single bolt in there, you'll be fine.
Dude,
But
no,
get a
I would
goddamn
not
hat.
be fine, because that would go down too easy, man. A
Right,
single
and it
mold
would
and a
be
beer
fun for
helmet,
us.
I would
No,
just
no,
be.
no. It's
about
I
you,
would
it's
be.
about
I
you,
would
it's
be
about
4
the
teams. I would be 5 attempts in on like 3 teams on the front wall, and it would be 2 hours in. That's
Well,
where.
you don't watch
that's
enough
where we'd
Spligo
be.
streams to
Look,
understand. That's the point.
We have a solution. We just get this man 2 tall boys of 211, and then he doesn't have to worry about the whiskey.
Oh man,
God.
and some Paps. Let's just throw it all in there. There'll be the third one right in the
Sure.
back.
Can I have some chewing tobacco as well? Let's just
As
throw
long
it
as you
all
strip
in.
properly.
Just man, just throw it all in. Just do
And
it.
then
all.
you need to use the word keister.
Something. Okay, sure. Yeah, it's a
Well,
foul and heady
but-
mix that we're putting together, but it's something.
But after derailing the entire conversation, thoughts going forward is hopefully CG fixes the Cerodium thing at the top, because man, it really makes Gak hard to talk about with some of y'all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for this,
Yeah.
but yes, you're right. You are absolutely right. It's not the most fun. TJ, your final thought, your pearl of wisdom for the folks at home.
I think the big thing, and I'll give a real one, and I think Dagger would agree. I think we all would too. Not all GGs or .gg, so Swigo.gg are created the same. Just be careful of the data. I think you need to do your research but it's not a 1-to-1. I think the call-outs from all of us are there, and we've all tried it, and something is like, oh, it looks fine. But these new Datacrons have a lot of merit. They all three are really good. The level 3 is really good on the new one. The level 6 is really good.
That's a good point. I was actually meaning to make this earlier, and I didn't say it. It's any encounter. You go ahead.
No, but yeah, it's I know you can add on it too, right? We're all playing this game and we're all watching it. And what Daggers talked about was perfect. What works for some may not work for the other. I just re-rolled because we talked about marked on, like, the Sidcron is a perfect example. I tried the marked and I'm like, yeah, this is great. And Tess over here, no, you want to get the one where there's no taunt. And it's like, Daggers over here doing the 2%. I'm like, and Tess is like, yeah, the 2%. Like, yeah, probably the 2%. So I'm re-rolling for that 2% because that sounds logical, because it's like, well, that didn't work for me. Let me try other stuff. This new Datacron set still feels so like it's continuing to evolve, that we need to watch this data, because people are also watching it and they're making these tweaks on these teams where it's just one little thing we're gonna miss, and it's like this 100% is now 0 poopies. So just giving you a word of warning.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to piggyback on you to say is, like, I remember, like, a couple of the counters that I tried against Aesop was like, okay, so the win rate on this with a decent sample size is like 84.75. And I'm going to take a look at the losses, and I'm going to inspect and see what that was, and I'm going to make the best choice I can do to not do that. And then I went and lost anyway. What's the takeaway from that? 84.75, 85% win rate is not good enough. If that win rate doesn't start with a 9 for me when I'm scouting something next week, it's not on the table for me. So
it's just, to me, even if it says high numbers or all that, in this one we could take that. Normally Tess, in my opinion, we would be able to be okay with that. But then it's like you have to really dissect the data, in my opinion. Now
you do
really
well, and I'm saying that to underscore your point, right? Because in a world where we're so-called 100% counters are failing us.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then you got no business messing around with nothing that says 85 up front to your face. It's saying we will fail you some amount of the time, and then it does.
Yeah, it's just to timestamp it too with like it's 90% with this, but then if you change up, we'll say the resistance level 6, I think that's really good. That now makes it 50, right? And if you're not saying you got to get down in the weeds in the data to really get to that piece, because it only takes that one thing, right? Maybe it was the 15% was the level 3 that made it 80% with the level 6, but now it's got the tenacity up. That drops it down to 50. It's like,
well, see, now when I'm talking, I'm assuming already that you've got it filtered down to what you're actually dealing with. But that's what I'm saying is all of that already granted. If it's like 85% win rate, I don't know that I'm messing with it, because there's enough things that are higher win percent that are not working. So it's like, man, that means that these things I should look at pivoting towards defense, something like that. So that was it on that one. I'm sorry. Did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, man. Like I said, it's the week 3 is going to be a lot of this.
No worries. Sasha, your last word for the folks at home.
Yeah, just keep it short. I think I appreciate the kind of depth or like nuance of this meta with all these different, like the impact of the Datacrons, because people seem to be dropping battles again. Like we were in that meta for a while where it was like you get it, like if you get a 57, then that's fine, but a 56 is almost the equivalent of a loss, and if you get a 53, it's like really brutal.
Yeah,
it just seems like stuff is shaken up enough. There are enough things to do on defense that people are occasionally dropping battles again, and that's great to see. Like I enjoyed like the mud wrestling match that I had this week, even though it was only one match, and I couldn't agree more. The Erodium thing's got to get fixed, but I'm appreciative of the fact that it's it's like been destabilized, or at least sort of like nuanced enough now that it's not down to pure like banner efficiency. That's cool.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think we're all refreshed and very surprised by how much variety, fun, challenge that's been introduced by these by this new set. So yeah, good marks for me as well. I enjoy it. My final word is just it's so many things, but I guess the one thing that stands out is be loyal to nothing that you've been doing in weeks 1 and 2. Be willing to take big risks with the things that are standard. So Saw, DTMG, things like that. Sir Malicos. If these are always on defense for you, consider a pivot. It's worth it to just risk it all here in week 3, and you have the most data that you're going to have right now with the week 2 data included on swugga.gg. So just be careful. Be careful. It's such a, all this said about the fun and everything that set 14 added, you're still talking about a pretty high scoring meta where there's still not a lot of room. Just be careful. And don't be loyal to your previous defenses, even if they worked. Just shake it up. Take the risk. You'll like it. All right. Thank you, of course, gentlemen, as always, for making time. We'll go ahead and start the wrap-up here. If you guys are watching this here on YouTube, then you already are aware of the Tassinix Gaming YouTube channel. I do upload my VODs from Twitch here in their full length with chapters added for easy browsing. I also have some other Swug-related content. At least for now, I have Datacron videos for set 13 and 14 made with Aesop Rock, our opponent from this week. So those are good watches. I can't say enough good about the folks that I make this stuff with, so real privilege. Of course, you can catch me live, twitch.tv/Tassinix. And, if you want to actually find out when I'm going to go live and all of that, you would, of course, want to hop on my Discord, and that's where you'd also be in touch with me. The link to that is in every video, and it's also on the channel itself, so you'll be able to get a hold of me. Of course, if you like what I'm doing here at Tassinix Gaming, you want to support the channel, you want to support what's going on, you got to check out my Patreon page. Check out patreon.com. Oops, that's the wrong slide. Check out patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile GAC player, there's something of value there to you. At the $5 tier, you join the Tass House and get early access to plotting and scheming and my other, YouTube exclusive content. So my general release is like Friday for plotting and scheming. My patrons get access to it Monday or Tuesday morning, depending on when we actually get down to record. So, that's the entry level. The next one up, you get the bundle with Omega Bot. So if you like those detailed scouting reports I do on my opponents at the start of the stream, that's the way to get that detail. You can pull a report greater than 2 weeks in time and get real up close to see what you're trying to find. The third tier up is the premium that has the double bot bundle with Omega Bot and Hotbot/HotUtils Patreon. So that's just, one of the premier tools for mod inventory and loadout management, among other things. All right, and of course, we have to thank the patrons themselves that make all of this possible. Starting at VIP access, thanks go out to White Wolf, Sam Vimes, Jobin4527, Stark Strategy Gamer, Renee Bebe, Deadpool Cal 28, Johnny B. Ottawa, JJ's Productions Twitch, Sweens 14, Darth QP PMG, Rays Malbus, and Brock Thud Steel. At VIP Access Plus, thanks to Stryker and Esh Sotnikam, taking advantage of the Omega Bot stuff. VIP Access Premium with the double bots, thanks goes out to Quig, Ibenek, Sir Boss, and Trevor Boy Gaming. Appreciate you guys. At the top of the list, the one, the only, Nomad's Reaper in Jester's Club Elite. This man is just a madman. Popped in on just the most recent stream, out of nowhere, just out of left field in the middle of the fight, just started dropping subs like crazy. 50, 100, all the way up to 200 in just one go. And he's done stuff like this many times before. Extremely generous and very much appreciated support. Thanks, man. As far as special thanks goes, First is Yoda Force, one of my original supporters, former guildmaster way back when I was in Vanguard. He's long since quit the game, but we wish him well on the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you so much for your support in the background, managing our extremely curious and industrious daughter, who would otherwise no doubt be tasking me to write her name repeatedly on her Magna Doodle, as is her wont. Thank you for running interference, at least for the length of the show. To Dagger, TJ, Sasha Isha, my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, thank you guys so much, sincerely, for making the time in your very busy work and family schedules to produce our show. I love what we're doing here, guys. And of course, there's always room to improve, always room to grow. We're always taking a look at it. But I'm still delighted. And it couldn't be what it is without you guys. Appreciate the hell out of you. All right, guys. Come back in here to the main scene. And I'll just say, good luck to all of you here. And until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.